Ye is the greatest living artist of our time, a genius in every way but also a troubled individual, so working with him comes with its challenges. Ye works crazy hours every week and he expects the same of his collaborators.
Because this man, doesn't sleep.
And I finally told him, dude, I gotta go to sleep. I'm old.
During album sessions, he runs 8 a.m. meetings which are compulsory to attend. In these meetings, they run through the songs they made the day before, make notes, and set objectives for the day ahead. If you don't make it to one of these meetings, there's a high chance you get kicked out.
Security would come wake us up, like, wake us up at 8 a.m. every day. We have our 8 a.m. meetings. Ye was like, is Nas still on the album? Because I didn't show up. I walked in like 3 minutes later. Like, a lot of people got left off that album just because they couldn't wake up.
These sessions get so intense that some people start to suffer from exhaustion. Urko, the lead mixer for Donda, was one of the engineers who passed out while working on the project.
Maybe 6 weeks of my life, and during those 6 weeks there was no living second that was dedicated to nothing but that album. There was like a screenshot of one of my text messages talking about I almost died because I've been working like 40 hours straight kind of shit.
I'm back, guys. Yesterday, after 33 hours of Pro Tools, I got jittery, lost my sight, and then fainted to the ground.
They are. Not you. They are. Yeah. We gotta go through it. It's spiritual warfare.
If Mike Dean is being overworked, I can only imagine how it's like for those who are maybe further toward the bottom of the food chain in the Kanye camp.
This reminded me of Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones making Thriller.
They were carrying the second engineers out on stretchers. And the musicians too, they were tired, you know.
Well, he'll make you do a thing until it's perfect. He'll say, it's beautiful, we have a take. Then he'll say, well, can you give us one more?
It's a question of doing something over and over and over and over again until you get it right and you figure out what it's about.
No, this is like the first time somebody ever told Rose, I know you could go harder. Rose, I know you. He closed the room. I said, this nigga crazy. And I went back in immediately. Right then.
And he's a perfectionist. He wants to do it 100 times. He wants to see 100 colorways, 100 variations. You know, he would call and say, well, I want it written like a prayer. Write it like a prayer. Okay, now I want it written like a joke. Okay, now it's too funny. Make it more serious.
Is this like a tweet or something? Or
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hurricane. At first he was like, okay, I want it to be about, what's going on in the streets of Chicago. And I brought it back to him. And he was like, I want it to be like turned up and more funny. And so I went and did another verse. Brought it back. He's like, man, I think I want it to be more like, about my relationship with my wife. And I'm like, okay, well, which one do you want to? He like, all of them. Yeah, I want it to be about all those things.
When you ask these artists about their Yeezy working culture, they embrace it to the fullest. And it's not just music either. He holds the same standards for his designers at Yeezy. Whether we agree with it or not, Ye's unorthodox methods tend to get the job done. He has a way of pushing his collaborators past their usual limits, encouraging them to create quality products that they themselves hadn't deemed possible.
He believes in you more than you believe in yourself a lot of the times. Or he's asking me to do something like, why do you want me to do that? He goes, because I know you can. And I'm like, but should I? And he said, but you can do it. He's right. And a lot of times it's liberating.
He'll go off on somebody. And I'm thinking, okay, they're about to cry. And they're just motivated. Like, they're like, yo, okay, cool. Yeah, believe in me. Like, okay, he's giving me a chance.
It's definitely not easy, and it can become infuriating. But like Kobe said, whenever the Lakers fought each other in the locker rooms, they'd win a championship.
It's like 8 hours left of this shit. No chuckling and nothing, no kind of way. All right, play off the grid.
It's a torture chamber of sorts, you know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Jay likes to put people in that torture chamber, in that blender. He feels comfortable when other people are uncomfortable.
Something has to be said about artists performing far better on Ye's albums than on their own work. This is because he doesn't accept anything below an A+. A philosophy he learned from a late friend of his named Louise Wilson.
Okay, so Louise Wilson was the baddest professor of all time of any fashion school ever. Notorious for not letting people stop at a 7 or 8, pushing people to a 12. She said, so many students, they don't give it their all. And the problem is, soon as they do anything halfway good, when they're 2 years old, 3 years old, their parents clap. Exactly. That's what she said, they clap. And she just looked at me and she said, Kanye, don't clap.
Expect and exhibit excellence from yourself and from others. Ye is a master at pushing his team to rework their ideas until he feels it's exactly what it needs to be. Of course, depending on who you ask, there's a huge downside to chasing perfection. He has artists and producers take out months and sometimes years out of their lives to work on his project, and a lot of these projects end up getting scrapped.
Oh, you said the album was coming out on Saturday. It didn't come out. What happened? I didn't finish it.
Many artists are under the impression that their lives are about to change when they get the call, but all they end up with is great pieces of music on a hard drive with no plan. They get zero pay for all that time and effort. For a lot of these artists, this is the only way to feed themselves. Imagine dedicating time into something and then randomly it gets released on a platform that makes it way harder for you to earn money, in a climate that is already cruel to artists.
Everybody was confused, like, how we get paid.
Were you confused?
Yeah, I'm still confused. Like,
have you gotten paid for those songs?
Kanye became the same monster machine he was fighting against.
The contracts are made to the artist.
Now go and get y'all fucking business while we go and get free, because I'm Moses.
He claims to be the Moses of the industry, the person that's gonna free the artists from these slave deals, but that's clearly not the case. Ye only cares about the things that affect him. It just so happens that he has signed some bad contracts. All he cares about is getting his affairs in order. He's not concerned about liberating the artist, because if he had, he would have made sure to do right by all the musicians around him.
I put at least $30 million in this man's pocket or more. Right. And he owes me money, and he's up billions. He said that the masters, he said he was going to give his artists back his masters, and it's just like, that hasn't happened yet, but that would benefit me a lot.
Ye's super particular with his team's outfits. Even in the studio sessions, there are clothing items which are prohibited. During Dark Fantasy sessions, one of the rules that stood out to me was the no hipster hats. As of late, he's so picky that in order to control what people are wearing around him, he decided to start utilizing uniforms, and only a few selected people are still allowed to dress how they want.
He give us like Yeezys, cargo looking.
It was like, black cargo.
And then Donda shirts. That's what he do.
Uniform.
There was definitely some uniform phases, and
oh yeah, there was like dress code, right?
I get to wear what I want.
That way.
Not everybody gets to.
Another thing he implemented was he had his security take daily pictures of everybody's outfits.
The guards took fit pictures of what all of his creatives had on every day, front, side, and back. And he looked at it every night. You'd wait between 7:30 and 8. You're looking at your phone. Come on. And then at 7:45, bro, I love your fit. I'm like, yes.
He started making fun of my hoodie. Yo, hoodie, you came in with a cream hoodie. And he was being so brutally honest and roasting me so hard. I just had to sit down like on the floor and I'm like, oh God.
This is how particular this man is about clothes. Unfortunately, there is a not so positive story about Kanye's uniform thinking. In 2021, Ye hosted a private listening party for Donda with mostly industry executives, some from Spotify and iHeartMedia amongst other companies. His longtime industry friend and radio personality Big Boy was also present for the session. But when they arrived, Ye ordered them to strip out of their clothes and wear these black robes he had for them.
Kanye told him, all right, bet, listen, we got some black gowns for y'all. Strip down, go get in the shit.
I don't know why they'd agreed to such, but I guess they did.
And by the way, I shouldn't even be saying these days, you know, these are powerful niggas. Like, niggas don't want to talk about this. Kanye not playing with niggas.
And so the listening party started with Ye speaking. But instead of playing the album, he went on a wild rant about Drake.
Kanye is ranting in a private listening party saying, this nigga Drake really don't know. I will get him killed. Facts. Big Boy or Dot Winters, they're like, yo, bro, they try to stop Kanye because Kanye is ranting. He's ranting, talking about Drake.
Not something you'd expect from a born-again Christian. He flipped on them and had them forcibly removed by his security.
And Kanye, the people around you don't love you. You are a clown. You need to get boxed in the mouth.
But let's talk about it.
Clown. It's not our story to tell.
You know, I found my dad's Playboy when I was 5 years old.
Playboy was my gateway into full-on addiction. And it's affected almost every choice I made for the rest of my life.
Ye having a serious corn addiction is not really news. He doesn't shy away from it. The internet went up in flames when we saw a video of Ye showing some Adidas executives an adult film. This clearly had them feeling extremely uncomfortable.
Oh, come on. Yeah, come on.
During the making of Dark Fantasy, he apparently had these films constantly playing on the TVs in the studio. And when Nicki first met Ye, he apparently was in the middle of watching something at like 6 in the morning. There are a bunch of other artists that can attest to having the same experience.
He was watching Star Wars on this big screen, and as I started talking about his song, he switched on anal sex, and I'm about to talk about the music, and he switches on this bum sex video. I'm like, okay. And then he said, sorry, what were you saying?
Bret Easton, the writer of American Psycho, revealed on his podcast that Ye actually wanted him to write porn videos to go with the songs from the life of Pablo. Personally, I laughed when I first saw how he played the video during the meeting, but I was more shocked to learn that this wasn't the first time he had done that. In a recent podcast which breaks down Kanye's hostile relationship with Adidas, it said that he once invited some executives to his New York apartment and then put on a video during the meeting.
This is the beginning of the Adidas relationship before I even pulled out anything. And I was like, look, nobody's getting pussy in Adidas. My favorite of all time is Francesca James, right? I played this meeting with her drinking milk. I played some adult content for the Adidas, because what does Adidas stand for anyway, by the way?
All day I dream about sex.
True.
Back in 2019, while still married to Kim, he would tell his collaborators to not engage in any premarital sex while working on his album. That's a very weird demand to make. As a born-again Christian, he was imposing his beliefs on people who weren't on the same path as him.
You know what took my wife from me? The fact that I was married to this beautiful person, but I felt like it wasn't enough. I felt like I still needed to look at.
Now when Ye eventually got divorced, he fell back into his addictions.
So I met him at his New Year's Eve party in Miami. He gave me his number. Then he immediately was like, send me those nudes, because he had me show him like my sex tapes and shit. When we were like in the club, he's like, show me your sex tapes. And he
in the middle of the club, he had you show him?
Yeah.
I know some women who are Instagram models, they said, Kanye doing these bitches like they in Dubai. Like, yo, I don't even want to, you just suck my left nut. Facts!
Working with this man requires you to be prepared to being subjected to watching adult content against your will, or having random naked women twerking while you're trying to make a beat.
He literally just has me come in the studio and get butt-ass naked and just like twerk in front of him and all his friends. He was like, he was working on his album, Donda 2. He was just like writing raps while I'm twerking naked.
Behind the veil, Ye was getting busy with dozens of women. It got so bad that he'd be having threesomes and all kinds of other engagements while his people were doing Bible studies in a different section of the building. These were the mandatory Bible studies that were enforced by him, so he would leave the sessions he's forcing people to be a part of to go and sleep with different women. I couldn't imagine reading Psalms 21 when I don't feel like it, while this nigga's going crazy in another room. It's Ye's world, and whatever he says goes. If you aren't with it, you leave. He's a rebel without a cause, only caring about the things that affect him without paying much regard to others. A narcissist in every way possible. But that's also why we love him, isn't it?